tonight from the Republican National Committee headquarters and Communications Director Sean Spicer. Hi, Sean.
Hey, John.
So give me your reaction to what the president had to say tonight overall.
Well, I think Libby and Mike summed it up well. You had a lot of small ball, a lot of things that we've heard before. A good speech, well delivered, but as you know, he's led off with talking about a year of action, and you kind of got to wonder about the last 6 years, or the last 6 State of the Unions, where we've had a lot of talk and not seen a lot of that action. And even just recently, you've seen him try to get a lot of things done leading up to this State of the Union, because he had realized that they had made a lot of promises last year and hadn't done much in the way of fulfilling some of those things. So, again, I think it's a great speech, but probably nothing more than that. And after 6 years of being president, I think there's not a really good record of working across the other side, reaching across and trying to get things done. That's why you're seeing a lot of this figuring out how to go around Congress, because it's been a really tough time working with Congress.
So when you're talking about the minimum wage, and the president has an executive order aimed at raising the minimum wage, at least for these contracts, how does that go over with Republicans when he's still trying to get them to cooperate with it?
Well, again, I think there's a couple of things. One, we've got to look at it in terms of what it does to the economy at this fragile time in terms of job creation. And two, again, this is a president who, instead of saying, let's work together to figure out what's best for the economy and how to create jobs, he goes around Congress, and this is, you know, as Mike pointed out in his piece, a little gimmicky, because it deals with federal contracts that happen sometime in the future and only for new contracts. So instead what's best for the economy, he's trying to do gimmicky stuff that, you know, as Mike pointed out, is sort of a dog whistle to the base on the liberal side. Because if he was really concerned about job creation, which is what most Americans are really looking for right now, he would start to take up some of the 150 bills that the House Republicans have sent over to the Senate, or deal with things like the Keystone Pipeline that deal with the creation of thousands of jobs.
What was the Republican Party trying to do with Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers' speech when it came to trying to deliver a message? What was the message you were trying to get over there?
Well, I think what she did is really humanize a lot of the policies that we have and the differences that we have. I think we as Republicans and as conservatives believe that we have a better way that's not centered in Washington, D.C., that's centered around families, small businesses, and individuals doing great things, not getting the government in the way and prospering. And so I think she offered a voice in allowing us to talk about how we would do things differently if we were in charge or had the White House.
David Schuster up in New York, I believe, has a question for you. David?
Yeah, Sean, David Schuster, thanks for joining. I just want to sort of clarify for us, if you can, and I know John hinted at it just a little bit, but what exactly is the Republican position on the minimum wage? Do you support it or not?
I don't think there's an official Republican position on it. It goes member to member at this point, but I think there's a lot of concern right now. I know the speakers expressed a lot of concern, because it's not as simple as just saying let's raise it or not. There's a huge economic impact overall, and also there's a big concern that we have with when you do it and how you do it in terms of job creation. And I say that because it sounds really easy to say let's raise the minimum wage, but when you look at the number of teenagers that are unemployed, the number of youth that are unemployed, and the number of actually only use the minimum wage as a temporary job, and what a raise would do in terms of job killing additional jobs.
Very fair point.
It's a much bigger discussion.
I absolutely agree, and you're on solid intellectual ground in terms of making that argument. But I guess the question then becomes a political one. You're at the Republican National Committee. There was a Quinnipiac poll in January that said it said something like 71% of Americans support the minimum wage, and 52% of Republicans support the minimum wage. The White House has telegraphed they're supporting the minimum wage not just because of policy, but because of politics. Are you concerned at all that the Republicans not having a very clear position might put you behind the 8 ball politically?
Right, and I understand the politics of it. I think what we've been trying to do as Republicans is talk about job creation and the policies that we are pushing that will actually put people back to work. Because right now, if you're telling some of those millions and millions of people who are either unemployed or frankly given up looking even for work, and we've seen that now at a 36-year low, telling them that there's going to be an increase in the minimum wage for a job that they don't have doesn't matter. So what we've focused our time and policies on is how do we create more jobs, how do we get the economy moving again, and try to get the message out that the focus, first and foremost, should be job creation, putting more and more people back to work, because until they get that job, they're less concerned about what the wage is.
All right, Sean Spicer, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. And let's go back to Tony